Jai Hind everyone, and today we have with us Major Vivek Singh. Sir is 93rd course NDA. He served with the Regiment of Artillery. Then from service he completed, once he had completed his service and he was transitioning, he did his MBA from the ISB Hyderabad. Worked with a very well-known brand in real estate, which is Value-Based Housing Corporation, VBHC. That's an HDFC funded company, and now has been on his own. He has his own startup in the healthcare sector. So it's kind of come a full circle for him from one of the most structured environment to a completely new startup kind of a thing. So today we have invited him to kind of touch on various points where he might be able to help transitioning officers in their transition. So welcome to the talk today, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vipul, for firstly inviting me on this platform. And if I can be of any help to anybody, that would be my privilege. And yes, 100 people logged in. So there is a cause of, I would say, worry also. Why do so many people want to leave Forge? That's the first part. But the second part is, if you have already decided that, yes, I would say it's a good beginning for you to, understand things, how they happen. Yeah.
So my first question would be then the brand UM which you are now working on. You said there is a predictive modeling also, and it's in health tech startup. Are you using some kind of an AI tools or?
We would be. We would be going forward because, we are of the opinion that we can have counselors also doing this work for us. But the counselor need to come up to our level. And we can't be training everybody under the sun to ensure that we invest so much of time and effort with these guys and then they push out and they start doing something else. So that kind of, monitoring is very, very difficult as far as humans are concerned. So we have, I would say, proprietary knowledge which we have. We can feed it in the AI, and the AI is now thereafter through the LLMs, which are the large language models, speech to text, searching for the answers, then text to speech. So those kind of things wherein the AI takes over, it keeps refining our protocols also and would be able to give accurate answers and help us in modifying protocols even better. So AI is going to be, as far as UM is concerned, is the future, wherein the entire database would be handled by it.
No, sir, your startup, is it bootstrapped or you raised some funding or?
Yeah, so it's just bootstrap. It's been just 4 months where we have started this particular venture. And as of now, we are in talks with certain accelerators and angel investors. And I think by in about 6 months or time frame, we'll be able to secure some funding. That would be used, to come up with, AI and our application.
Now, I would like to ask you a question related to the startup world. What is your understanding that what role are startups going to play in the Indian economy in the next decade or so?
So if India has to grow, the startup ecosystem has to flourish. It's in its nascent stage. और वो कहते हैं ना कि अभी सर मुंडाते ही ओले पड़े. That is the, I would say, the time frame or the times in which we are operating now. So a lot of funding was coming in before COVID. And suddenly it's a funding winter, if people are generally aware of what is happening in the startup ecosystem. So now the funding has suddenly dried up for various reasons, macroeconomics, but it's not going to be like that. Now, there are angel investors who are there. There is government who's trying to push it. And then, yes, India is a market which is big enough for world to, pay attention and pay heed to. So money is going to come up. So let's say by the end of this year, a lot of money is again going to come back as far as startup ecosystem is concerned. And people have an opportunity to do whatever they feel like. Entrepreneur is basically like a innovator. He identifies a problem and he comes up with a solution and puts it there in front of the world. If the world likes it, you become an instant hit. And if your product is not that great, since as they say that 80% of the startup fail, so you may fail also. But that should not deter anybody who has got dreams of building his own company. because it gives you various advantages. Though I would not say that it is a shortcut to success, that you should not be working as an employee and straight away jump into this kind of a thing, which is obviously very risky. But yes, there are upsides to it. So it's more of a personal choice as far as risk benefit analysis is concerned. But a person like me would always like to choose a startup over the routine work, which as an employee in a corporate we would be doing. The future is there for startups, and if you have a good problem to solve, rest be assured that you may be the next unicorn.
So, sir, would you like to elaborate if I say that officers who are looking to be entrepreneurs, they can rather start working in a startup to understand the basic nuances and how the organizations are structured, access to investors, the entire ecosystem, and then go on to establish their own venture?
I would say I would not suggest that for one reason. That if, or let's say if you are a founder or you've been a co-founder or somebody has invited you to a CXO position in a startup, then it would make some sense, because then you would be in the thick and thin of it. But if you are just let's say a senior VP or a general manager in a startup, nobody is going to be discussing all these things with you. They would expect you to work like an ass and ensure that the targets are met. But if you are a co-founder, somebody has invited you to be, you've got those skill sets, then yes, you would be learning. But if you are not, then the only better way to do it is to learn at somebody else's expense, which means that work in a big corporate, try and understand the big picture, because one day you will be dealing with it, which means that generally, doing an MBA is no guarantee that you'll be doing well, firstly. But then what are the things which you should be paying attention to? What are the lacunas which we as a 4G have in particular? So we are generally devoid of, understanding of finance. How does it work? And people tend to confuse finance with accounting. So I'm not talking about the accounting part of it. I'm talking about the corporate finance part of it. And as a entrepreneur, or let's say a startup founder, you are supposed to be knowing everything about everything. If not 100%, then at least to the extent that you understand the language of finance. You are very well as far as managing people, so that is not a challenge any which way. But do not devote time in those things. Try and gain skill sets where you've been deficient per se, ab initio, right from the beginning. So pay attention to finance, pay attention to supply chain management if you're trying to dwell into something which relates to manufacturing. Pay attention to the kind of what the competition is trying to do, understand those guys, and then try and formulate a plan which we can put it to work. So no shortcuts, and it's better to work with somebody, understand how the corporate world functions, rather than straight away jumping into a startup if you are not into a CXO position. That would be about it.
Given the fact that you just shared, and in the last 30 minutes or so, you have been emphasizing that the corporate expects targets to be met, and officers usually are not trained, or ab initio they do not have the understanding of the financial aspects of business. So what exactly is that? I mean, what kind of challenges this presents? Or I would rather say, if you can share a challenge which you faced, and that how you kind of overcame it, and as a personal example with this specific context.
Okay, so yeah, the financial challenges are everyday challenge. As a startup, you're always short of funds. You intend to grow, but I'll cite an example where typically, where it literally went to the wires. I will talk about that. So that is not with respect to this venture. That is with respect to the other venture which I have, which is a construction company, and that also trains construction workers on a pan-India basis. So all these big real estate developers and construction companies are our clients, and we train their workers at their sites. So before COVID, we were number one, doing fabulously well, supported by Government of India through other skill development schemes. And then came COVID. So the entire we had trainers like mad, huge strength. spread across pan India. And we took the call that we are going to be supporting them. We'll be paying them their salaries because nobody knew that how long the COVID is going to last. So we thought that, okay, maybe another 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. And then it carried on and on. And we kept paying their salaries. We came to a point that, we had paid, I think, more than 2 crores in salaries with zero work. So it's like, all your retained earnings are going into something which you don't even know that, it's ever going to be giving you a return post that or not. So it's like, if you can think of that on a typical basis, if you're running a 10% profit, so it's like you have done a 20 crore work and you would have earned 2 crores. So in that kind of a logic. And suddenly we found that, once everything started to come back to normal and all these employees left, because there was no other program which, even the corporates like, big real estate developers and construction companies were, they were also facing a lot of manpower issues and things like that. So it came down to a wire where we realized that, one has to make pragmatic decisions. Supporting is fine, but you can't be killing yourself just because that you have an ethical point of view. And those were the hard times for us at that point in time, with a challenge where we wanted to retain manpower so that we can grow further. And it came down to a point that we didn't have enough resources to continue paying these guys, because had we continued to do so, we would have to shut shop. So these are typical challenges which will keep coming up depending upon which kind of a sector you're operating, what kind of a model you have. But and that's a norm. So it's just never been a case, whether it is a startup or a well-to-do company or even an MNC. These challenges are rampant and they keep happening for 2-3 accounts. You may be having a change management where the highest level of decision making changes, just like it happens in Forge. One CEO goes, another one comes in, and everything it changes overnight. So a new CEO, CEO coming in, and things would turn overnight very, very different from what they were. So you have to deal with those challenges. You have to deal with macroeconomics, how the competition is treating you, how the market is happening, what kind of a budgetary allocation government has made, how, let's say, US is faring with respect to India. So everything is in a disarray. So as I would say, a good manager, leave aside, being at the helm of things, you need to be pragmatic, you need to be learned enough, and you need to be, having a foresight that how things are happening. You just can't be on a reactive mode that things would happen to me and I would react. So you need to be proactive every time, thinking of how things are, what better you can do, and things then would turn, even if they are bad enough, would turn in your favor, because not everybody would be doing that. World is just like that. People like you and me are there outside also. So Forge gives you that advantage that think through. Wo, instead of appreciating the situation, everybody is situating the appreciation. That's what we call otherwise. So never do that. Never try and fit a solution to a problem. Break down the problem and the solution would reveal itself. That would help you get out of those situations where you may be having your back stuck against the wall.
All right, sir, thank you so much. That all these pieces of advice which you have given, I hope that officers will imbibe it and have a successful transition. So, as to sum up, spend time and energy in securing admission in a good way, so that the corporate takes you more seriously and you're given more meaningful roles. Start with a good big MNC so that the structures and working of corporate are you're able to have an insider view. Pick up some sector agnostic role so that it's easier to switch. And finally, from there, if you want to be an entrepreneur, then solve a problem which has a bigger total addressable market. There's a lot to do and a lot to conquer. Thank you so much, sir, and we wish you one very bright future ahead.